Keep an eye on Iran. They're also disturbing new developments to tell you about out of North Korea this morning. Korean leaders perhaps trying to get people excited by accusing the U.S. of planning a nuclear attack against the communist regime. The North says a recent summit between President Obama and South Korea's leader proves their claim. The U.S. reaffirming its nuclear security commitment to the South as the U.S. fortifies defenses around Hawaii. The Defense Department anticipating the North may conduct a long-range test launch over this July 4th weekend.
Pause. If that's on the news right now, then that's the agenda they want you to believe. Now I'm going to play another link or show you another thing to collaborate with what they just said, that they are trying to push some type of nuclear agenda. Keep in mind, Korea is launching missiles. Iran is also having massive protests and riots, which I'll play a clip right now for that after the initial clip, and realize that you've got Iran and Korea, who are our biggest threat to America. You know, they're bad, they're terrorist sponsors, now doing all this crazy shit. And now you've got on the news them talking about Korea thinks we're going to nuke them. So, what do you guys think this is leading to? You think it's leading to Obama meeting with the North Korean dictator and the Iranian dictator and kissing and hugging? Or do you think it's leading to nuclear war?
Back with you later, and we appreciate the update, and be careful.
Thank you so much.
The White House reaction to the turmoil in Iran, obviously they're monitoring the developments more closely. Anything else from the President today?
Yeah, they're monitoring developments very closely, as they have been over the past several days since this crisis unfolded. And they've had a very measured response, and they're calibrating their response to the situation on the ground, watching and seeing what's happening in Iran, and then responding.
You think it's leading to Obama meeting with the North Korean dictator and the Iranian dictator and kissing and hugging? Or do you think it's leading to nuclear war? Because they want a genocide by 2012, alright? Just because it didn't happen today or it doesn't happen tomorrow doesn't mean it's not going to happen. I'll tell you this, it will happen. I promise you. It will happen. Just like William Cooper promised a 9/11 attack will happen, I'm promising you another 9/11 will happen. When? I don't know. Alright? Look at the Illuminati, research the numerology, and you'll find dates where you need to be out of the cities on, and I'll do the best to report on that. But what I will tell you is, get out of the cities. Alright? You need to get out of the cities now. Well, start preparing at least. Because anybody that has half of a brain knows that the cities will be the first targets to go down. Get somewhere in the country, get 40 miles out of the city, stock up and prepare. Alright, I'm never going to take anything I say back in regards to telling people to prepare. Alright, so keep that in mind. Alright, anybody that wants to try and debunk this video, go ahead. Whatever the theme may be, no, my agenda is clear. I'm with you. I'm trying to help you. I'm doing the best I can. I don't sleep, and I work very hard on this. I'm not getting paid. Alright, I'm not banking off of this. Matter of fact, I'm bankrupt from trying to do this. Okay? So just keep all that in mind. Godspeed.
New developments on the streets of Tehran. We are hearing we may soon see a new round of protests in the next couple of hours. Iranian state TV saying up to a dozen people have been killed in violence over the last week's election results and more than 100 injured. And in North Korea, well, they are claiming the U.S. is planning a nuclear attack on Pyongyang. This as the U.S. military is beefing up its defenses around Hawaii after Japanese media reported the North may test a long-range missile over the upcoming July 4th holiday.
Well, there you have it again. Now it's the second report on the news saying North Korea thinks we're going to nuke them. And it's happening on the date Blackjack says it's going to begin. You've got the media reporting now that America wants to nuke North Korea from a North Korean point of view. Blackjack really fake? You be the judge. One thing for sure, things are getting really interesting now.
Current and former intelligence officials tell ABC News that the CIA has received secret presidential approval to mount what is known as a black or covert operation to destabilize the Iranian regime, and that it is now underway. The officials say President Bush gave his approval with the formal signing of a presidential finding, a secret document that authorized the CIA to act against Iran.
Any action, lethal or non-lethal, that is U.S. government sponsored, but the U.S. government is hiding its sponsorship, requires an intelligence file.
It's the biggest unrest seen in the Iranian capital since the 1979 revolution. Thousands of supporters of pro-reform candidate Mir Hussein Mousavi clashed with police. They claim victory has been stolen.
Intelligence officials described the CIA's Iranian plan as non-lethal, involving a coordinated campaign of propaganda broadcasts, placement of negative newspaper articles, and the manipulation of Iran's currency and international banking transactions.
To prevent the unrest from spreading, authorities have blocked the country's mobile phone network and some internet sites.
Facebook is young Iranians' main link with Mousavi headquarters, now that text messaging and many websites are being shut
all
down.
playing to perceived vulnerabilities in Iran, according to former Assistant Secretary of Defense Peter Rudd.
I think it's economically vulnerable. I think there's ferment in the country. I suspect there are a lot of people among intellectuals, among students, even in political life, who really don't like this clerical.
There seems to be a systematic shutdown of communication networks in Iran.
Yes, up until a few hours ago, Facebook and YouTube were still working. So young opponents who went out on the streets with their cell phones, they could also call each other to the streets by using cell phones. Text messaging was down, but you could still call one another. Now that cell phones are down, it's very hard for them to mobilize on the streets.
Until 6 months ago, Bruce Rydell was a senior CIA official dealing with Iran and the region. He would not confirm the CIA covert plan, but says it fits in with overall U.S. policy.
I can't confirm or deny whether such a program exists or whether the President has signed it, but it would be consistent with an overall American approach of trying to find ways of putting pressure on the regime. And this regime is extremely paranoid.
Right now is that Iran has a very large diaspora abroad, and these people are constantly on the phone to tell their friends what's going on. Another thing that's interesting that happened in the last hour is that since Facebook was cut, these same friends abroad have been sending pirate material so that their friends in Iran could go around the blockade of websites.
Officials in Iran have already accused the CIA of running a secret operation to bring down the regime. As ABC News reported last month, the U.S. has been secretly encouraging a Pakistan-based militant group which has carried out a series of attacks on Iranian military units.
I think everybody in the region knows that there is a proxy war already afoot, and this covert action is now being escalated by the new U.S. directive, and that can very quickly lead to Iranian retaliation and a cycle of escalation.
Faithful gathered for evening prayers. More than 20 people were killed. Iranian authorities say they've arrested 3 people in connection with the attack, claiming they were backed by the United States, a claim echoed by some of the country's religious leaders.
Of America.
24 hours later, more violence in the same city, this time at the campaign offices of President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad.
A sea of green surged into Revolution Square. The place named after the 1979 Islamic Revolution. The very event many of the protesters now want to see overturned. Give us our votes, they chanted. Go, go, dictator, they screamed. The crisis in this country is not just about the election. Behind the anger at the alleged vote theft is something even deeper, frustration at living in a theocracy. In stark contrast to Sunday's pro-Ahmadinejad rally, Monday's event was packed with women. That they turned up at all is testament to the depth of feeling. Earlier in the day, the Interior Ministry had declared the rally illegal and later authorized the use of live ammunition to suppress rioting if it occurred. In the event, the numbers were too great. Force would have sparked an uprising.
Up every night until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then up again at 5 o'clock trying to get news.
And sometimes when news does come, it's almost too much.
I've kept professional up to now, but this 14-second video basically shook me up.
A young girl shot, reportedly by Iranian police. The aftermath captured on cell phone video.
And she wasn't even protesting. She was a bystander, according to our sources. And she's just shot through the heart and dies within 2 seconds.
While horrifying